week, we try hard to stop at Relationship Corner. Oh, she's got her glasses on. This
I'm serious now.
She's all serious.
Just wanted to be like you.
She's all business. Okay, Relationship Corner. And we've had her in studio before. She's awesome. She's wonderful. She's from Parenting Place. Her name is Sheridan Eketone. So we thought we'd get her in while school holidays are on to talk about parent burnout. Good morning, Sheridan.
Morena.
Morena, you look very snazzy with your glasses on.
Thank
You got
you.
me by surprise.
I know.
Yeah.
It's because I've got a really good quote for you to kick us off.
Oh, share it, please.
So, in August 2024, the US Surgeon General issued a public health advisory that stated that parents were under dangerous levels of stress.
Dangerous.
Dangerous. The report cited an American Psychological Association report that showed that almost half of parents, 48%, reported overwhelming stress most days, compared to 26% of other adults without kids. That's where Tabitha comes in. She doesn't have her kids.
She needs to listen closely. How does that relate to Kiwi figures, though?
Oh, really good question. I don't know, but what I do know is what I see in my coaching room.
And what do you see in your coaching room?
And I see a lot of parents that are stressed.
How? Why?
That's such a good question, and I think there's so many things that come into play. So it's just often both parents are working, we are busy, we are the cost of living, and, you know, I often say parenting is the hardest job on the planet, and it takes a lot of energy. And I also think parents are wired to give and give and give. And when we give out of an empty cup, that's when we can get a bit undone.
How do you refill your cup as a parent? Because
You come to work
whenever,
and you leave your wife at home to look after the kids.
whenever I've heard people talk about burnout, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, you need to take some time for yourself. But how do you do that as a parent? Because you are caring for other human beings. Like their, well-being is completely dependent on you. And so when you don't have kids, you can kind of be a little bit more selfish, but it's harder to do that as a parent.
So much harder. And often when I think we hear about this idea of looking after yourself, we think of going and having a massage, getting your nails done, all of the lush things that you might be able to do if you don't have kids. But I like to encourage parents, especially of younger children, this is snatched moments of care.
What does that mean?
So like the sun is shining, you go and drink your coffee on the back deck with the sun on your back. It's actually, when you get a bit overwhelmed, taking a bit of time to go and check the mail for the 8th time in the day.
Oh, that's good.
Like literally it is about taking those snatched moments of care. But, guys, I've been thinking a lot about the season of raising teenagers, because that's what the season I'm in. And I think often we don't talk enough about the challenges of the teenage years and actually how much busier you are, even more so than when you had young kids. And so, for parents of teenagers, it looks different too. It's how are you finding time in the week to do something that brings you great joy?
It's when I talk to new parents, I often encourage them just to live in their moment and don't wish for your kids to grow up too soon, because you're right. Every part of your development comes with different challenges. So I'm in that phase as well with teenagers, and there has been a lot of emotional exhaustion. I love what you said the last time you came in, and I love the thing about checking the letterbox for the 8th time, because sometimes you have to remove yourself. Because you're playing off an emotion, and sometimes those emotions aren't the right ones to deal with a problem that's happening right there and then. Yeah. So that's a really good practical tip. Something else that's happening with us at the moment is you often know your kids' friends group, right? And so as parents, we think it's important that we're connected as parents with the friends of especially my son, my youngest son. And so there's a WhatsApp group with our parents going on.
I love that.
Yeah, I think it's really important because, we've all been down that road when we were 15, 14. You tell your mum one thing, and then you do exactly what your mum said you were going to do. So, we're just, there's a check-in about, like, this happened last weekend. Like, one of the parents texted my wife and said, I dropped the boys off at Pack and Save. They said they were going to get picked up. Is that what's happening?
This is genius.
This is actually genius.
Yep. So, and then, and wifey said, No, that's not what's happening.
Do they know about the group chat?
Yeah,
No. Oh, well,
they do now.
They do now. So I think that's a way to stop the ambulance at the bottom of the hill.
And I think you're ahead of most. I think a lot of parents in their teenage years have no contact with other parents. So I love that you have front-footed that. I just listened to a podcast on the way here, which talked about in the teen years, we go from being the producer to the consultant in our teen's life. And I think that's a really beautiful, I mean, you guys will get it. It's like we go from kind of stepping in front and leading them to walking alongside them a lot more.
Yep.
And but we still need the WhatsApp group. We still need to check in on them. But we also need to check in, how are we doing? Because, I often say to parents of a 5-year-old who come to me because they're having tantrums or something, I'm like, you have no idea how easy you've got it. Like the stakes are kind of low. Like, yes, they're overwhelmed. The teen years have an added layer of influence, of working out who they are in the world. And, for parents of teenagers, it's a whole nother game. So we've got to stick together.
Absolutely, man. For those of you who've got young kids, brace yourself for what's coming.
Oh, goodness.
Because it
very
will come. Because it will come. Well, before we cut you loose, Sheridan, you've given one practical tip, or one that I've taken away about the checking the mailbox for the 8th time. Nice way of, some self-care, some self-reflection, some removal from a situation so you don't get as emotionally exhausted. Yeah. What other tips have you got for parents out there who are dealing with this at the moment?
So I love the work of Sir Mason Drury around the Te Whare Tapawha, so the idea of well-being. And so we have 4 areas of well-being: your spiritual well-being, your physical well-being, your emotional and mental well-being, and your family health. And so I love to encourage parents to think about what area is low at the moment and what can I do to fill up the cup again. So, it might be that you haven't had enough time with family. Hopefully you have over Easter, or it might be you haven't been moving your body, and what can you do in this coming week that just moves the dial? So thinking about our well-being holistically, because all of those 4 areas come into play for good mental health.
Where can people jump into to get some tips or just a little bit of guidance?
Parentingplace.nz.
You're wonderful.
Thank you.
Go and fill your cup.
I will.
No, literally, go to the cafe across the